The tension aboard the Triton was unbearable. Commander Kate Bonner stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the dark expanse of space outside. The fleet was ready for battle, and all systems were primed. The threat of annihilation loomed large. The Exarathians, a ruthless alien race known for their cold precision and unyielding conquests, were about to launch a full-scale assault on Earth. Every ship in the human fleet had been stationed at their battle posts, the countdown to the attack ticking down relentlessly. Kate had seen it all. Years of war, countless battles, and far too many lives lost. She had always been the one to lead her crew through the worst of it, always ready to face whatever the Exarathians threw their way. But today, something felt different. It was the quiet before the storm, a sense of anticipation mixed with dread that she couldn't shake. The crew around her was silent, their faces tense. They all knew what was coming, but none of them were prepared for what would happen next. Just as the countdown reached its final seconds, something completely unexpected occurred. The blaring alarms of readiness, the tense murmurs of the crew, they all suddenly fell silent. The screens on the bridge flickered, and a strange encrypted message flashed across the main display. It wasn't from any human source. It came from the enemy. The Exarathian fleet, which had been preparing to destroy humanity's last hope, stopped moving. The warships, large as mountains and deadly in every way, simply halted their advance. Their weapons, which had been aimed at Earth, powered down. Their sleek ships, built for devastation, now drifted aimlessly in space. Kate's heart skipped a beat. What was happening? Why had they stopped? Then the message appeared on the screen, sending a chill down her spine. It was brief, but it was enough to send shockwaves through the human fleet. The message read, "The season has come. We honor your traditions." The room was silent for a moment. Then chaos erupted. Officers and soldiers looked at one another, confusion and disbelief on their faces. No one understood. The Exarathians had never shown anything but hostility. Why would they suddenly honor human traditions, and what did they mean by the season? Kate clenched her fists. She was no stranger to the ways of war, but this was something entirely new. The Exarathians didn't care about holidays or peace. They cared only about conquest. The idea that they would respect Earth's traditions, especially at a time like this, seemed impossible. She turned to her communications officer, Lieutenant Ryan Avery, who was already frantically working to decrypt the message. His fingers flew over the keys, his face pale with urgency. The crew waited in anticipation as the seconds dragged on, the silence on the bridge almost suffocating. Finally, Avery turned to face her. "I can't make sense of it, Commander. There's no context for this behavior. I've never seen anything like it. It's as if they're waiting for something." Kate's mind raced. The Exarathians didn't wait. They attacked with the precision of a deadly predator, striking without warning and without mercy. They had a reputation across the galaxy as the ultimate invaders, ruthless, calculating, and unstoppable. And now, they were waiting. It didn't make sense. What could possibly be holding them back? Kate was about to respond when another message popped up on the screen, this one even more baffling than the first. It was a single line, repeated in an alien dialect, but translated immediately by their systems. "We will not strike during your season of peace. We respect your customs." Kate's heart raced as the implications of the message began to settle in. The Exarathians, the most dangerous race humanity had ever encountered, had suddenly chosen to avoid battle for reasons that were completely beyond her understanding. It wasn't just a ceasefire. They were respecting the human tradition of holidays. The entire fleet had been anticipating this battle for months, and now the Exarathians were backing off for reasons no one could explain. "What's going on?" Ryan's voice was thick with disbelief. "Why would they care about our holidays?" "Maybe they're afraid," suggested Sergeant Tom Keller, a veteran soldier who had seen the worst of the war. His tone was filled with uncertainty. "Maybe they think we'll retaliate during our strongest time." Kate shook her head. She didn't believe that for a second. The Exarathians were not afraid of anything, let alone human holidays. The idea that they would retreat because of something as simple as Earth's traditions seemed absurd. But it was more than absurd, it was dangerous. There had to be something deeper at play. Something that Exarathians weren't telling them. Something that, if left unexplored, could spell disaster for Earth and its people. Commander Bonner immediately made a decision. She turned to her team, her voice commanding and sharp. "Get me everything we have on Exarathian history and culture. I want to know why they would suddenly back off. And I want answers. No stone unturned. We may have just been handed a rare opportunity, or a trap. Either way, we're not letting it slip away." The crew got to work, diving into every piece of data they could find. Kate walked the length of the bridge, her mind spinning. Why would the Exarathians, known for their unforgiving nature, stop their offensive for something as insignificant as a human tradition? Had they discovered something about Earth that the humans themselves didn't know? Something that made humanity's holidays dangerous to them? "Commander," Ryan said after a few minutes of tense silence, his voice laced with anxiety, "I think I may have found something. It's not much, but it's enough to give us something to go on." Kate turned and hurried over to his station, her heart pounding. Ryan looked up at her, his face pale. He pointed to a set of encrypted files that had just been decrypted. "There's a pattern here, Commander. A very strange one. For some reason, the Exarathians have never attacked during Earth's holiday seasons. We've seen records of their previous battles with us, and every time a holiday comes around, they halt their attacks. It's almost like they're avoiding us when we're celebrating." Kate's brow furrowed. Why would they avoid us? Why now? "I don't know, but we need to find out. We may be facing a force much more powerful than we realize." The tension in the room grew, and the crew's unease was palpable. They had never faced an enemy that had shown any kind of respect or hesitation. What did this mean? Was humanity's survival truly tied to the idea of these holidays, or was there something far darker behind this sudden ceasefire? The clock was ticking. The stakes were higher than ever. And Commander Bonner knew one thing for certain. The truth was out there, hidden within the strange actions of the Exarathians, and finding it might be the key to humanity's survival. Kate stared out the viewport into the cold, endless expanse of space. The unknown had just become their biggest enemy, and she was determined to uncover it before it was too late. Commander Kate Bonner stood in the war room, surrounded by her most trusted officers. The map of the galaxy stretched across the screen before her, a complex web of enemy forces and human defenses. Yet the Exarathian fleet, once poised to strike Earth, was now completely silent. The entire situation was bizarre. Nothing made sense. Why would the Exarathians stop their attack just because of Earth's holidays? She had fought against this cold, calculated alien race for years, and their unpredictability was one of the few things she had learned to rely on. Now it seemed, even that certainty was crumbling. "Lieutenant Avery," she called, her voice filled with urgency. "I need every piece of information we have on the Exarathians. I want to know why they're stopping. They must have a reason. There has to be something we're missing." Lieutenant Ryan Avery, her strategic genius and right-hand man, was already at work. He was hunched over a terminal, his brow furrowed in concentration. The room was filled with the soft hum of the ship's systems, but the silence between them was palpable. Kate knew Ryan had been working nonstop for the last few hours, analyzing every piece of data they had, but the answers still eluded them. "I'm on it, Commander," Ryan replied, his fingers flying over the keys. He brought up the Exarathian archives, millennia of alien history, strategy, and warfare, all stored in the vast databases of the Triton. The records were encrypted, layered with decades of secrets. Ryan had grown used to cracking through barriers like this, but this time he felt the weight of the task even more heavily. "Let's see what we've got," Kate said, crossing her arms and standing next to him. She looked at the screen as the ancient Exarathian records unfolded in front of her eyes. Thousands of data logs began to appear, each one a glimpse into the mind of an alien species that had terrorized the galaxy for eons. Hours passed, the crew working diligently as the tension built. And then, just as the atmosphere in the room seemed to reach its breaking point, Ryan leaned back in his chair, his face pale. Kate's heart skipped a beat as she saw his expression. "I think I found something," Ryan said, his voice shaking slightly. It's a pattern. A recurring one." Kate stepped closer, her eyes narrowing as she focused on the records Ryan had uncovered. The data was old, dating back centuries. There, hidden within the archives, was something no one had noticed before, a curious anomaly. The Exarathians, the most dangerous and ruthless race known to humanity, had never attacked Earth during certain times, specifically during human holidays. Christmas, New Year, even smaller celebrations like Diwali and Lunar New Year. The pattern was undeniable. Year after year, the Exarathians had halted their attacks during these times, even when humanity's defenses were at their weakest. Why would an alien race known for its brutality and precision suddenly stop during what should have been prime opportunities to strike? "That's impossible," Kate murmured under her breath. She couldn't believe what she was reading. It went against everything she had learned about the Exarathians, but the evidence was clear. These ancient records proved that, despite their hatred for humanity, the Exarathians had a deep aversion to Earth's holidays. Ryan leaned forward, pointing at a specific record on the screen. "Look here, Commander, this file. It's coded differently from the rest. It mentions something about fear. The Exarathians aren't just avoiding Earth's traditions. They're terrified of something." Kate's eyes widened in disbelief. Terrified. The Exarathians. It didn't make sense. Fear wasn't something they were known for. They were merciless conquerors, unbeatable in battle, with technologies far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Fear had never been a part of their strategy. They were the ones who instilled fear in others, not the other way around. What could they possibly be afraid of? Kate wondered aloud. What about our holidays could scare them? Ryan scrolled through the file, his eyes scanning the words with intensity. Then his voice dropped to a whisper, as if he couldn't quite believe what he had found. "There's a symbol, an ancient alien symbol. It appears in multiple records. It's tied to something no one knows about, at least not on Earth." The room seemed to grow colder. Kate could feel the hair on the back of her neck stand up as she looked at the symbol on the screen. It was unlike anything she had ever seen before. The design was complex, made up of intricate lines and curves that seemed to shift and pulse as though alive. The symbol radiated a strange energy, and something about it made her feel uneasy. "Is this what they're afraid of?" Kate asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan nodded grimly. "I think so. The symbol is linked to an ancient event, something that predates even the Exarathians' empire. It's tied to a phenomenon that no human has ever encountered. This event it's a cycle, Commander. It happens every time Earth enters its holiday season, and when it does, the Exarathians retreat." Kate's mind raced. What could it be? What was so powerful that it could cause the Exarathians, the apex predators of the galaxy, to retreat? She couldn't shake the feeling that they were still missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. There was something more, something hidden beneath the surface of these ancient records. "We need to dig deeper," Kate said, her voice firm. "We can't let this go. If the Exarathians are truly afraid of this, then we need to know everything about it. We need to understand what it is and how it could help us." Ryan's fingers moved quickly over the terminal, his mind working faster than Kate could follow. They had uncovered something monumental, but it was only the beginning. They needed to find out everything about this mysterious event, this fear that the Exarathians had been hiding for centuries. Hours passed, but the answers they were seeking remained just out of reach. The more they uncovered, the more complicated the situation became. The Exarathians weren't just respecting human holidays. They were actively avoiding them, terrified of something unknown. It was a truth that was both baffling and frightening. Kate sat back in her chair, her eyes focused on the screen in front of her. She couldn't help but feel that they were on the brink of something huge, something that could change everything. But what was it? What was the secret that the Exarathians had been hiding for so long? Why had they never attacked Earth during the holidays? She couldn't afford to waste any more time. The fate of humanity might depend on what they uncovered next. "Keep digging, Lieutenant," she ordered. "We're not stopping until we find the truth." As Ryan nodded and turned back to the terminal, Kate's thoughts raced. Whatever this mystery was, she knew one thing for sure. The Exarathians had been hiding it for a reason. And now, it was up to humanity to uncover the secret before it was too late. The investigation had only just begun, and Commander Bonner was determined to find the truth, no matter where it led. But with each new discovery, the stakes grew higher, and the danger more real. The dim light of the war room flickered as Commander Kate Bonner paced nervously in front of the massive holographic screen. Lieutenant Ryan Avery had just finished briefing her on their latest findings from the ancient Exarathian archives, but the pieces of the puzzle still didn't fit together. They had uncovered strange symbols and mysterious data suggesting that something deeply unsettling had been hiding from humanity for centuries, but it still didn't explain why the Exarathians had such an extreme fear of human holidays. There was a powerful secret, one that could change the course of the war, but they had yet to fully understand it. As if reading her thoughts, Ryan turned to her with a look of cautious optimism. "Commander, I think I've found a lead. Dr. Elena Voss, the top AI scientist, might be able to help us. Her AI systems have been used to decode encrypted alien languages and even simulate their thought patterns. If anyone can make sense of these strange symbols and uncover the truth, it's her." Kate nodded in agreement. She trusted Ryan's judgment, and Dr. Elena Voss was indeed one of humanity's brightest minds. If anyone could decode the alien messages, it was her. They needed answers, and fast. The next day, Commander Bonner and Lieutenant Avery arrived at Dr. Voss's lab, a high-tech facility deep within the Triton. The walls were lined with intricate machines, and the air was filled with the soft hum of advanced technology. Dr. Voss was at the center of it all, working with her AI-based program. She looked up as they entered, her face lighting up with a mixture of excitement and determination. "I think we're on the verge of something big," Dr. Voss said, her eyes gleaming as she gestured to the screen in front of her. "I've been working with the AI to decode the symbols from the Exarathian archives, and I think I've found a pattern. It's not just a language, it's more like a code to a deeper understanding of their biology." "Do you think the AI can help us understand why the Exarathians are afraid of our holidays?" Kate asked, her voice steady but filled with anticipation. Dr. Voss nodded. "It's possible. The AI can simulate the Exarathians' past encounters with humanity, running thousands of simulations. If we're lucky, we'll be able to identify the trigger, the source of their fear." Kate's heart raced as the team of scientists and analysts worked in unison, feeding the AI data and watching it process at an astonishing speed. The screen flickered to life, showing a simulation of past battles between humans and Exarathians. Alien ships cruised through space, their sleek, intimidating forms casting long shadows across the galaxy. But something unexpected happened. The AI paused the simulation. "Look at this," Dr. Voss said, pointing to the screen. "The Exarathian fleets. Every time they get close to Earth during the holiday season, their ships experience a kind of malfunction. It doesn't make sense." The simulation continued, showing an alien ship flying through space and approaching Earth. As the date on the screen marked a holiday, Christmas, to be specific, the alien ship suddenly began to glitch. Its weapon systems failed, its engines sputtered, and its once glorious hull appeared to twist and warp, as if the very fabric of the ship was being torn apart. "Do you see it?" Dr. Voss said, her voice rising with excitement. The energy being generated by humanity's celebrations, it's affecting their technology. The screen flashed with a burst of images showing other simulated encounters, each one featuring a similar phenomenon. The alien ships grew erratic, their systems malfunctioning at precisely the same time as Earth's holidays began. It was a strange pattern, but the evidence was undeniable. Ryan leaned in closer, his brow furrowing. So, you're saying that our holidays, our celebrations, are creating an energy field strong enough to disrupt their ships? Dr. Voss nodded. Exactly. And it's not just a random glitch. The energy humans generate during these moments of unity, joy, and love, it's almost tangible. It creates a wave of emotion that is so powerful it interferes with the Exarathians' advanced technology. Their psychic amplification systems, their eye-based command structures, they all rely on finely tuned technology to function. But when humanity celebrates, that energy disrupts everything. The realization hit like a shockwave. The very thing that made humans vulnerable, our emotions, our connection to each other, our celebrations, was the key to driving back the most technologically advanced and terrifying alien race in the galaxy. It was a truth that Kate Bonner could barely grasp, but it was right there in front of her. It's not just about technology, Ryan said, his voice a mix of awe and disbelief. It's about something deeper, something human. Our unity, our love. That's what they're afraid of. Kate stood there, her heart pounding as she processed the information. She had always known that humanity's strength lay in its resilience, in its ability to stand together in the face of overwhelming odds. But this was something different. Their strength wasn't just physical. It was emotional. The energy created by human connection during celebrations was a weapon, one the Exarathians had never anticipated. Dr. Voss ran another simulation, and this time the results were even more startling. The Exarathian ships, vast and powerful, began to fall apart under the intensity of human celebrations. The AI revealed detailed images of alien ships disintegrating, their systems crashing, their weapons failing as waves of human energy washed over them. The once mighty Exarathians, who had thought themselves invincible, were helpless in the face of human unity. Kate's mind raced. She saw the potential in this discovery. If humanity could harness this energy, this emotional wave, they could take the fight to the Exarathians in ways they had never dreamed of. Their greatest strength was no longer just their will to survive. It was the power of their emotions, of their ability to love and to unite, especially during the holidays. The camera zoomed in on Kate's face, showing her deep in thought. The expression on her face was a mixture of realization, disbelief, and awe. She had fought against the Exarathians for years, and yet it was this very weakness, their fear of human emotion, that could change the war. Do you think this could be the key to defeating them? Ryan asked, his voice filled with hope. Kate looked at him, her expression hardening with determination. It has to be. If this is what they're afraid of, we need to turn it into our weapon. We need to make sure that every battle we fight, every step we take, is fueled by the energy of our unity. This is our chance to finally push back. She turned to Dr. Voss, who was already at work, running more simulations and gathering data. Can we use this? Kate asked. Can we harness this energy to fight back? Dr. Voss nodded, her face alight with excitement. I think we can. It's going to take time, but we're already on the right path. Kate's eyes narrowed as she looked at the screen, watching the simulations of shattered Exarathian ships. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its unity, its love, and its ability to come together during the hardest of times. Now that very strength would become their weapon. As the crew of the Triton worked tirelessly to prepare for what lay ahead, Commander Bonner couldn't help but feel a surge of hope. The Exarathians had underestimated humanity, just as they always had. But this time, it was different. This time, humanity's greatest asset, their emotional power, would be the thing that saved them all. The war was far from over, but now, humanity had a fighting chance. The truth of human power had been revealed, and it would change everything. The weight of the discovery hung heavily over Commander Kate Bonner and her team as they stood in the war room of the Triton, processing the monumental truth they had uncovered. Humanity's most powerful weapon wasn't advanced technology, battle strategies, or brute force. It was something much more profound. The emotional energy generated by human celebrations during holidays had the power to disrupt and destroy the technology of the Exarathians, the galaxy's most fearsome alien race. But with this knowledge came a moral dilemma that weighed heavily on Kate's shoulders. Should they reveal the truth to the people of Earth, risking the chance that the Exarathians would launch a full-scale attack during a holiday season? Or should they keep this information secret and use it to their advantage, striking before the aliens could regroup? The decision wasn't just tactical, it was personal. Kate knew that whatever path they chose, the outcome would affect the future of humanity, and possibly even their very survival. The clock ticked relentlessly as the team deliberated, but the final decision would fall on Kate's shoulders. As she stared at the holographic display of the Triton's fleet, her mind wandered back to the painful memories of the past, memories of battles fought and lives lost. The face of her fallen friend, Sergeant Ben Calloway, flashed in her mind. His death had been the result of an overestimation of the Exarathians, believing that humanity's resilience could carry them through. But the Exarathians were not an enemy that could be underestimated. They had superior technology, intelligence, and combat tactics. In the end, it was Ben's death that had driven her to this point, the pain of his loss pushing her to make decisions that might alter the course of history. Kate closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of her responsibility. She knew that Ben would have wanted them to strike while they had the chance. He had always believed in humanity's strength, its ability to adapt, to fight, and to win. If they didn't act, if they didn't use this newfound power, more lives would be lost. More soldiers, more civilians, more friends. The thought was unbearable. She opened her eyes and turned to Lieutenant Ryan Avery, who had been by her side through every battle. "Ryan," she said, her voice steady but tinged with sorrow, "we can't afford to wait. The Exarathians won't give us another chance." Ryan nodded, his face reflecting the same resolve. He understood what needed to be done. The time for hesitation was over. The information they had uncovered, humanity's emotional power, could be the turning point in this war, but only if they acted quickly. "Agreed," Ryan said, "but we need to be careful. If we reveal this power too soon, we could provoke the Exarathians into attacking us directly during the holidays. And once they do, they won't stop until they've wiped us out." Kate looked at him, the weight of his words sinking in. "So we use the element of surprise. We strike first. We don't wait for them to come to us. We make them fear us." The decision was made. Humanity would use this new power as a weapon, but they had to do it in secret. They couldn't risk letting the Exarathians know that humanity had discovered the true source of their fear. With the plan set, the team immediately began preparations for war. Dr. Elena Voss, who had been at the forefront of decoding the alien symbols and understanding the power of human emotions, was tasked with developing a new device, one that could harness the energy created during human celebrations and convert it into a focused, devastating weapon. The resonance amplifier was born. The resonance amplifier was unlike anything humanity had ever built before. It was a massive, complex machine that could capture and amplify the emotional energy generated during Earth's holidays. The device was designed to focus this energy into a concentrated burst of power, capable of disrupting alien technology and even short-circuiting their fleets. It wasn't just about using human emotions as a weapon. It was about using the very essence of what made humanity different, their capacity to love, to celebrate, and to come together during the hardest of times. In the months that followed, the team worked tirelessly to perfect the device. The Triton became a hive of activity, with engineers and scientists working around the clock to ensure the resonance amplifier would be ready when the time came. As they worked, Commander Bonner kept thinking about Sergeant Ben Calloway. His face was always in her mind, his memory driving her forward. She couldn't let his death be in vain. This was for him. This was for everyone who had fallen in the fight for Earth. As Christmas approached, the tension grew. The entire crew of the Triton could feel it. They were on the brink of something extraordinary, but they also knew that this mission could either save humanity or destroy it. The stakes had never been higher. In the war room, Kate and Ryan stood together, looking over the final plans for the resonance amplifier. The device would be installed aboard the Triton, where it could harness the energy of the upcoming holiday season. But the question remained, would it work? Could they really turn humanity's love, joy, and unity into a weapon capable of defeating the Xerathians? "We have to be ready," Ryan said, breaking the silence. "The Xerathians are smart. They'll be watching us closely. If they figure out what we're doing, we could be facing an all-out war during the holidays. We can't afford to let them get that kind of advantage." Kate nodded. "I know, but we don't have a choice. This is our only shot." The next few days were a blur of activity. The crew of the Triton worked tirelessly, installing the resonance amplifier and making the final preparations for the mission. As Christmas Eve arrived, there was a palpable sense of anticipation among the crew. They knew the gravity of the situation. What they were about to attempt could either turn the tide of the war or doom them all. The resonance amplifier was activated for the first time during a private holiday celebration held aboard the Triton. The crew gathered in the mess hall, singing songs, sharing stories, and enjoying the warmth of the holiday spirit. As the celebrations reached their peak, the resonance amplifier hummed to life, slowly at first, then with increasing intensity. The energy that had been generated was powerful, almost otherworldly. It felt like something had shifted in the very fabric of space itself. Kate stood at the back of the room, watching the faces of her crew as they celebrated. She could feel the energy building, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of hope. This was humanity's strength. This was what would give them the edge they needed to defeat the Xerathians. As the celebrations continued, the resonance amplifier focused the energy, converting it into a burst of power that traveled through the Triton's systems. The device was now fully operational, and Kate could feel the shift in the air. Humanity's emotional energy had been transformed into a weapon. The battle ahead would be difficult, but Kate knew one thing for certain. Humanity's greatest strength was not in their technology, but in their hearts. The Xerathians had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. The time had come to fight back, not just for survival, but for everything humanity had built and everything they stood for. The war was about to begin. The holiday season on Earth was approaching, but it was not a time of peace and joy as it should have been. Instead, it was a time of preparation for war. For months, Commander Kate Bonner and her team had been working tirelessly to harness the strange power humanity's celebrations held over the alien Xerathians. Now, as Christmas Eve neared, that power would be their weapon, their only hope in the battle that was about to unfold. The Xerathians had no idea what was coming. Their massive fleet, led by their ruthless commander, was already on its way to Earth, ready to strike down what they still saw as a primitive race. They expected humanity to be caught off guard, unprepared for a fight, especially during the holiday season. The Xerathians had long been aware of the Christmas truce, the unspoken understanding that humans would not engage in major conflicts during their most sacred time. It was something that the aliens, with their cold, calculating minds, had come to rely on. But they were wrong. Humanity wasn't going to back down this time. They had something the Xerathians couldn't possibly understand, something that would turn the tide of the war. They had the resonance amplifier, a device capable of converting the emotional energy of Earth's holiday season into a devastating weapon that could disrupt the alien technology and cripple their fleets. As Christmas Eve arrived, the atmosphere on the Triton was thick with anticipation. The crew knew that this would be their moment. There was no turning back now. The resonance amplifier had been set up just outside Earth's orbit, ready to broadcast the joyous energy of billions of humans to the alien fleet. The moment the Exarathians launched their first wave of attacks, they would be met with the full force of humanity's collective spirit. The first wave of the alien assault came just as the sun dipped below the horizon on Christmas Eve. It was massive, a fleet of hundreds of warships bearing down on Earth. Their weapons were primed, their shields at full power. They had every intention of destroying humanity once and for all. But what they didn't know was that the Triton and its fleet were waiting for them, hidden in the darkness of space, cloaked by human ingenuity and the power of unity. As the first shots rang out, a massive wave of energy pulsed from the resonance amplifier, sweeping through the vacuum of space. The moment it hit the alien fleet, the chaos began. The Exarathian ships began to malfunction, their systems crashing one by one. What had been the most advanced fleet in the galaxy was suddenly crippled by something they had never anticipated: human emotion. Explosions erupted across the battlefield as the Triton and its fleet emerged from their cloaking shields and charged into battle. The human ships, powered by the energy of millions of people celebrating together on Earth, moved with a newfound ferocity. Every ship in the fleet was fueled by the collective strength of humanity's holiday spirit. It was a sight to behold, ships flashing with bright lights, weapons firing with precision, and the Exarathians, once mighty vessels, falling apart before their very eyes. The battle scenes were like something out of a dream. In the vastness of space, the human fleet engaged the alien forces in a deadly dance of destruction. Explosions lit up the darkness as human ships fired energy blasts, ripping through the hulls of Exarathian warships. The resonance from Earth surged, its power amplifying with every passing moment. The human fleet pressed forward with unrelenting force, breaking through the alien lines and tearing apart their most formidable ships. The Exarathians fought back with everything they had, but it was clear that they were losing. Their technology, once considered infallible, was no match for the power of human unity. Their weapons malfunctioned, their shields flickered and failed, and their control systems became erratic. For the first time, the Exarathians were on the defensive, their superior technology crumbling under the pressure of a force they couldn't comprehend. In the midst of the chaos, Commander Bonner stood at the helm of the Triton, her eyes focused on the battle unfolding before her. She could feel the energy building, the surge of power from Earth's celebrations fueling their every move. It was as if the very spirit of humanity was coursing through their ships, pushing them to victory. But she knew that this was only the beginning. The Exarathians had more to throw at them, and they would not give up easily. As the battle raged on, the turning point came when the Triton found itself facing the Exarathian flagship. The alien flagship, a colossal vessel that dwarfed any of the human ships, was surrounded by a protective fleet, but it was clear that the flagship itself was the key to the battle. If they could take it down, the rest of the Exarathian fleet would collapse. Commander Bonner knew this was her moment. She locked eyes with Lieutenant Ryan Avery, who gave her a determined nod. Together, they led the charge toward the flagship, the Triton's weapons primed and ready. As they closed in, the resonance from Earth peaked, flooding the battlefield with a pulse of energy so powerful that it felt like the very fabric of space was shaking. The Exarathian flagship's systems began to fail almost immediately. The massive ship's weapons sputtered and failed, its shields flickering and collapsing. The alien crew inside the flagship scrambled to regain control, but it was too late. The energy from Earth's holiday celebrations had overwhelmed their systems. The flagship was vulnerable, and Commander Bonner wasn't about to let this chance slip away. With a precise strike, the Triton fired its weapons at the flagship's core, ripping through its defenses and causing the ship to explode in a spectacular burst of light. The explosion sent shockwaves through space, and the alien fleet, already in disarray, began to retreat. The Exarathians, unable to comprehend the defeat they had just suffered, turned and fled, leaving Earth's orbit empty for the first time in years. In the aftermath of the battle, Commander Bonner stood on the bridge of the Triton, her eyes scanning the stars. The war was far from over, but this victory was a turning point. Humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They had used their greatest strength, the power of unity, love, and joy, to defeat the most powerful alien race in the galaxy. As the crew celebrated their hard-earned victory, Bonner couldn't help but think of Sergeant Ben Calloway. His death had been the catalyst for this moment, and she knew that he would have been proud of what they had accomplished. He had believed in humanity's strength, and now that strength had been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The Exarathians would regroup, and they would come again. But humanity was ready. They had the power of the holidays on their side, and they would not back down. The final assault was over, but the fight for Earth's future had only just begun. The battle was over. Humanity had won. The Exarathian fleets, once so powerful and feared across the galaxy, were now retreating, scattered and disarrayed. Their ships, crippled by the strange energy that humanity's unity during the holiday season unleashed, were no match for the power of human emotion. What the Exarathians had never anticipated, what they had failed to understand, was that the true strength of humanity was not in its technology, its weapons, or its vast fleets. It was in the heart of every individual, in the power of unity, love, and joy. Commander Kate Bonner stood on the bridge of the Triton, her eyes scanning the retreating alien fleet. It was a sight she would never forget. The Exarathians, once so sure of their superiority, were now running, fleeing from the power that humanity had uncovered. She had known the risks. She had known the stakes. But now, as the battle ended in a glorious victory, she could hardly believe it. They had done it. Against all odds, they had won. The resonance amplifier, the device they had created to harness the energy of human celebrations, had worked beyond their wildest expectations. It had turned the tide of the battle, disrupting the alien fleet's technology and rendering their powerful ships useless. The Exarathians, who had thought they could crush humanity without effort, had been caught off guard. They hadn't realized that the human spirit, fueled by joy, love, and unity, was a force unlike anything they had ever encountered. But as the adrenaline of the battle wore off, Commander Bonner couldn't help but think of the cost. For every victory, there had been a loss. For every alien ship that had fallen, a soldier had paid the price. She thought of her fallen comrades, especially Sergeant Ben Calloway, whose sacrifice had been the turning point in this war. Ben had believed in humanity's strength, in the power of unity. His death had driven Bonner to act, to push her team to do the impossible. Now, as the battle ended, his memory lived on in their victory. The Triton and its fleet began their journey back to Earth, the planet they had fought so hard to protect. As they approached the familiar blue and green sphere, Bonner felt a wave of emotion wash over her. The war was not over, but humanity had proven something undeniable. They had faced an alien race that was technologically superior, a race that had underestimated the power of human emotion, and they had come out on top. It wasn't their weapons that had won the day, but their hearts. On Earth, the holiday celebrations were in full swing. Families gathered around tables, friends exchanged gifts, and communities came together in a shared sense of joy. There was music in the streets, laughter in the air, and the feeling of peace and unity that only the holiday season could bring. Commander Bonner watched as the ships of her fleet descended toward the planet, their hulls reflecting the warmth of Earth's lights. It was a moment of triumph, a moment of celebration. Humanity had proved something crucial, that its greatest strength lay not in the machines they built, the wars they fought, or the technology they created. It lay in their ability to come together, to find strength in each other, to fight for something greater than themselves. The message was clear. The Exarathians had thought they could destroy Earth, that they could crush humanity under the weight of their superior technology. But they had failed because they had underestimated the one thing that no alien race could comprehend, the power of the human heart. As Bonner and her team descended to Earth, they were greeted by the cheers of millions. People lined the streets, waving flags and singing songs. The victory was theirs, and for the first time in a long while, humanity had a reason to celebrate. The war was over for now, and the Exarathians had learned a valuable lesson. They had vowed never to attack Earth again during the holiday season, fearing the unmatched power of human unity. But deep down, Bonner knew that this would not be the last challenge they would face. The universe was vast, and there were always new threats lurking in the shadows. As the celebration continued, Bonner walked out onto the deck of the Triton, her eyes taking in the sight of the planet below. She could feel the energy of the holiday season coursing through her, just as it had fueled the battle against the Exarathians. It was the same energy that had given her the strength to push through the darkest moments of the war. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the joy of the season fill her. For now, humanity was safe. For now, they had won. But then, a strange sensation stirred in her chest, a sense of unease. Something was off. She turned to Lieutenant Ryan Avery, who stood beside her, gazing into the distance. His expression was tense, his eyes scanning the stars. "Do you feel that?" Bonner asked. Avery nodded. "There's something out there." Bonner's heart skipped a beat. She followed his gaze into the night sky, where the lights of Earth shimmered below them. In the distance, there was a faint glimmer, a small, sleek craft, unlike anything they had encountered before. It moved quickly, almost too quickly to be detected by the human sensors. It was distant, yet its presence was undeniable. "Should we investigate?" Avery asked, his voice filled with caution. Bonner hesitated. The threat of the Exarathians had been dealt with, but something told her that this new presence was not something to be ignored. "No," she replied firmly. "Not yet. Let them watch. We've earned a moment of peace." But as she stood there, looking into the vastness of space, she knew that this was only the beginning. The victory over the Exarathians was monumental, but it was not the end of humanity's journey. There would always be more challenges, more enemies to face. The universe was full of unknowns, and humanity's future was far from certain. For now, humanity could celebrate. They could rest. They had earned it. The battle had been won, and the holiday season would continue without fear. But in the back of Bonner's mind, the faint glimmer of the mysterious alien craft remained. A new threat loomed, and she knew it would be up to humanity to face it, because together they were unstoppable.